All right. Hey, everybody. It's Rob here. I am sharing my screen and, of course, recording this. This is our first call for the PR beta program. And this will be a pretty short one unless you have any specific questions that you want to ask. But I want to talk a little bit about the first steps, about how fast we want to ramp this thing up, what the goals are, and then what specifically next week's call, which will probably be a longer call because we really want to dive in and I want to give you some feedback on the work that you've done. So our focus is on television, even though the course that you have that I've given all of you access to is for anything from TV to radio to podcast to blogs to print. We use basically this format and formula to book our clients on media every single week all over the country and the world, though it's primarily the US and Canada for television. And what I want to do is I want to watch just one short segment of this, which is the PR formula segment. The entire course itself that we have, I've stripped out all of the fluff, all of the junk. It's about 90 minutes long. If you haven't gone through it yet, your first assignment is to make sure that you go through it. You can even download one of these little apps that speed up the recording and listen to it at 1.25 or 1.5. I'd maybe not go any faster than that, and go through it at least once. And then you'll see there'll be other parts that will require you to go through it more than once when it comes to putting together your one sheet, putting together your segment proposal, etc., because that's the real meat of what we're talking about. So really want to wait to the end to give you assignments, but right out of the gate, if you haven't watched the entire course, that's the first thing that you have to do. It's only about 90 minutes long because we've stripped out all of the fluff. Please make sure you do that. So first thing I want to do is I want to watch this is just 4 minutes together of the PR formula, and then I want to share what the kind of first assignment is and what the focus is for you this week. So let's go ahead and dive into this. And I'm gonna unplug my mic so that you guys, I make sure that you guys can hear this.
In this module, you will learn the fundamental formula for securing TV segments. You will use this formula again and again. It's an important secret to your success. To get started, I'm going to ask you to use your imagination.
I sped it up for you.
You are the producer of a medium-sized market local television show. Let's assume Kansas City, number 31 in market size. Let's say you're the producer of Kansas City Live on KSHB. Among other things, it's your responsibility to book segments for the show. Your show is on 5 days a week for an hour. Each hour has on the average 6 segments. So you must fill 30 segments a week, which is 1,500 a year. Okay? Are you in the producer's shoes? What's going on inside your mind? First, let's talk about your dreams and your aspirations. You might be dreaming of a raise, right? Or maybe you want to move to a larger market like San Francisco or Philadelphia. You want to advance your career. So what's the worst thing that can happen when it comes to booking guests? Well, a very bad thing for your career would be to book someone who gives a poor presentation. But the nightmare for every segment producer is that you book a fraud, someone who is a disaster. You've taken a giant step backwards. So you want to avoid that at all costs. So the challenge that you face as that segment producer is that you have to make 30 decisions every week, and each one of them has to be right. If you can put yourself in those shoes for a minute, you'll understand much of the training you're going to receive in the certification. If you can learn to give producers what they want, a credible guest who gives interesting content, producers will love you and even rely on you for quality placements. So, what is it that TV producers are looking for? They are looking for quality and relevant content delivered in an easily consumed and entertaining way by a well-polished and well-presented expert. If you do that, you will be a success. Deliver quality content, make it something that's easy to understand and entertaining, well-polished, well-presented by an expert, and you will be every producer's dream. So here is the formula for a successful media placement. It's C plus AH plus WTS equal TV media. Let's look at each of these. The C stands for credibility. Producers, editors, and other decision makers are looking for guests that are credible. They want people who are experts in their area. You must present yourself or your client as an expert in their field if you want to land these placements. The AH stands for audience hook. Now, we're going to go into much detail about this later, but you must give the producers an audience hook. Hooks can range from current events to a cliffhanger to celebrity attachment and more, but you can't expect the producer to come up with the hook. You must do it for them. It makes their decision so much easier. Less work for them gives you a great chance. WTS stands for a well thought out segment. If they can take a glance at your proposal and see an organized approach to the segment, they are far more likely to give you a few minutes. You can share the bullet points your clients will go over, the prompts they will use, the tips they will give, and much, much more. If you follow this formula, credibility plus audience hook plus a well thought out segment, you're well on your way to quality television appearances. In our next module, we'll be looking at the building blocks of successful PR.
Okay, that's it. 4 minutes. I even sped it up for you. The three things that we're going to be focusing on that really make up the meat of this, and especially this week, because here's the goal. The goal is that you'll be sending out emails and getting on the telephone, booking yourself on media and TV within the first 2 weeks. That's the goal. I believe that you can do it. I did all of this for myself even faster than that, and I think you can as well. So here's the things that I want you to focus on. Going back, Bob shared that there are pieces of the formula. They are C plus AH plus WTS. There you go. So here's what I need you to do and think about. Most of you, perhaps even all of you, have a book. I know some of you have come to me as former past clients that we help do a book, and now you want to get some media and maybe even have a team member. By the way, feel free to have any team members that you want to train in this process to be on these calls as well. Absolutely happy to do that, because ultimately you want somebody else doing this for you anyway. So if it's a team member, if it's yourself, you need to be thinking about these three things over the next week. Number one, what is your credibility piece? If you have a book, right, and your book is in the market or in the genre of what you want to be speaking about on television, then that is your credibility piece right there, okay? Now, here's the thing about your book. By the way, my latest book is out, Publish, Promote, Profit, right? So, if you haven't gotten that, I'm happy to send you a copy of it. And if you write me a review, shameless plug, I would love that as well. But with my book, what we would do is not just talk about publish, promote, profit, but this positions me as the credible expert in book writing, in publishing, in promoting a book, etc. And what I would have to do with the producer is show the producer that my credibility will relate directly to something that hooks his audience. So that's the second piece, the AH or the audience hook. Now, Bob mentioned in this 4-minute video, very, very brief, that there are a number of different audience hooks that you can use. And as you go throughout the training, we're going to give you a number of those audience hooks. So make sure you complete the training and you take great notes at the audience hook portion. But let me give you a couple of those audience hooks. One great audience hook is any type of celebrity or somebody that's in the media that has to do with that thing. So as an example, I literally hung up just a little while ago with a new client that we're doing media and PR for. He's a financial advisor, but he's a financial advisor that just wrote a book on Social Security. Well, in the last week, Trump came out and talked about how Social Security needs to change. And of course, people are afraid that Trump is attacking Social Security. He's going to take it away, right? So Social Security, and especially Trump, is in the news having to do with Social Security. This is a great hook, a great audience hook that we can use, and we can relate this episode to Trump. The media loves Trump. They love to hate Trump, right? So if we can find a way to use that source, my client's credibility, then now we have a great audience hook for his audience on this topic. Make sense? You need to do the same thing. So no matter what your book is about, think of it in a very general, right, and kind of broad way when it comes to TV. It's not just about what the title says it is, right? It's not just about being a $1 million coach or publish, promoting, and profiting. It's anything having to do with someone that dreamt of writing a children's book, right? Even though that's not my ideal client. Or somebody that dreamt about writing their family history or writing the next great American novel, even though that's not my ideal client. It needs to be broad enough, right? And the hook needs to be strong enough to attract a large portion of the marketplace. And then WTS, a well thought out segment. And this is going to take a little bit more time to come up with. It might take you, after you get your credibility piece down, right? For those of you that don't have a book, you need to think what other credibility pieces you have. For those of you that do have a book, that's one piece of your credibility that you absolutely, positively want to use. But there are other pieces as well. Some of you have already been featured on media because we helped you with that. Every one of your media appearances in the past are credibility sources for you. So you'll want to list those things out, okay? And you're going to use all of that when it comes to building out your well thought out segment proposal. So here's what I need you to do. Number one, I need you to tell me, and you guys have my email address because I've emailed all of you in this beta program. I need you to email me back at the beginning of next week or even this weekend what your credibility is, your credibility pieces are. I want to know that you've thought through. So if you have a book, I want you to give me a link to the book. If you've appeared on media, I want you to give me links to the media. If you've already built your own media page, I want you to give me a link to your media page, okay? You're going to send that to me. This is just a homework assignment. I'm not going to do anything, but I want to take a look at it, and I want to see how it compares to the next thing which you're going to do, and that is think through your audience hook. I want you to tell me, here's what I see going on in the media, because you're going to go through the entire course. So you're going to see the 4 or 5 hooks that you can use. Here's what I see going on in the media. Here's what I see going on with celebrities. Here's what I see going on in my space. And this is what I think would be a great audience hook. So at the beginning of next week, prior to our call next Friday, I want you to send me what you think 1, 2, or 3 great audience hooks would be for your well thought out segment. And then lastly, I want you to begin putting together your segment. For those of you, extra credit, if you will, finish your segment, right? I'll give you feedback on it. That's the benefit of jumping into this beta program with me personally, is I'm going to give you feedback on your credibility. I'm going to give you feedback on your audience hook. I'm going to give you feedback on your well thought out segment. I want as much of this done. Certainly the credibility piece and the audience hook you can have done and sent to me by the beginning of next week. The segment proposal itself might take you a little bit longer, but I want you to at least make some progress on the segment proposal. The goal here is that within 2 weeks from now, all of this is going to be completed, and you will have already begun making telephone calls and sending emails to the media so that you can begin getting booked on TV segments in the next week, month, 2 months, et cetera, the rest of the fall. Okay? So really clear. Remember, and as you go through this, there are literally 100,000 TV segments a week throughout the United States, not even including Canada, that need credible sources of information. And so if we do these things right, great credibility, a good solid audience hook or two, and then a well thought out segment, then you're going to be able to book yourself on television. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. Again, assignment. Go through the course completely. It's only about 90 minutes of content. You might have to go through the deeper parts of the course more than once, which have to do with creating your bio, creating your one sheet, creating your segment proposal. So go through that 2 or 3 times. They're not very long. Each segment is short and very, very easy for you to consume. Part number 2, send me an email with your credibility, a link to your book if you have one, a link to any media appearances, a link to your media page. Come up with some ideas for your audience hook and begin building out your segment. All of this you need to have done, at least the credibility and audience hook part, by the beginning of next week so I can give you feedback. Because next Friday when we do our call, it will be at noon Pacific next Friday. When we do our call, I want to give you direct feedback on your credibility, your audience hook, and your segment, and we want to get that built out because I want it complete so that you can start booking yourself for media, radio, TV, etc. TV is what we're focused on in the next 2 weeks, okay? And again, last couple of things, so at least some things to think about. If you want to bring an assistant, if you want to have an assistant or someone that's on your staff sit in on this, I'm totally fine with this. The idea is that you're not going to be doing this for yourself forever. You're going to have people on your staff that maybe have a bunch of other jobs as assistants, but they can also be booking you out on media because they can learn this and do it for you. And then the other thing, keep in mind, it's easier to book yourself on local media wherever you live, but sometimes you're going to have to expand outside of your local marketplace. So you're also going to need to think about what your travel schedule is and where do you want to focus on the media. One of the things that I've promised is we're actually going to give you media contacts with this. So starting next Friday, I'm going to start asking you, okay, where is it that you want to start booking yourself for media? And please don't just say Oprah or the Today Show, right? We have to start somewhere. So we're going to start with local media. And yes, you can still contact the big media appearances too, but obviously they're much more difficult to get. So we want to focus on local and then start expanding your locality from there. And of course, national as well. That's the big dream. Okay, that's it. That's all I have for you. Please, please, please go through this course and do this stuff for me, the things that I need. If you have any questions, just do me a favor right now and just type in the chat box, and I will be more than glad to answer those, but probably you don't have any because it was just really simple. And I know several of you said that you had a family emergency or that you had something going on. And also I backed up the call 30 minutes, which may have messed up some of you. So my apologies for that. I'll get this video out to all of you. I don't see any questions, so that means that we're all good. I'll get it out to you. You know what your homework is. Please make sure you get it done and completed by the time next Friday rolls around, and get me the credibility and the audience hook by the beginning of the week. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for your trust. Thanks for being a part of this beta. We're going to get you successful because, remember, you promised to give me a raving review, okay, and testimonial, and I want that. All right? You guys have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next week.